Mixed martial arts fights can be pretty controversial, and that has never been more true than in the past few weeks. Let's look at some of the things that have been happening. Piers Morgan was furious with the MMA fight, which saw a transgender star beat up a woman on TV, and we'll also look at other MMA news. What started the controversy? It all started with the MMA fight between Alana McLaughlin and Celine Provost, where many felt the fight was pretty one-sided. That wouldn't be normally much of an issue. It just means that one contender is a much better fighter than the other is. Still not an issue. Everyone knows what they signed up for, right? But people started to get divided when they took into account that Alana McLaughlin is a transgender woman. Many felt that she might have had an unfair advantage in the octagon because of the life that she led before transition. Piers Morgan's reaction. We all know that Piers Morgan is not shy when it comes to giving his opinion, even at times when he has no business speaking up on anything. He has been known to show a lot of prejudice, so it really wasn't surprising that he had a lot to say about the fight between McLaughlin and Provost. He was outraged by the entire thing. He said it was completely unacceptable that the MMA world allowed a transgender woman to go into a fight with another woman, who she then proceeded to beat up on television. There was no surprise that he was scolding with his opinions about the fight. But what was kind of surprising was he wasn't the only person who had strong negative opinions about it. Other opinions. There have been a lot of loud voices that have been criticizing the fight and the fact that a transgender person is allowed to fight in the women's division. But at the same time, there were just as many people who have shown their support for Alana and for the decision that she was allowed to have this fight. Some of the biggest critics of the fight, besides Piers Morgan, have been UFC fighter Sean O'Malley and the MMA podcaster Angel David Castro. So are those that support Alana and the subject of transgender athletes in the league in general, and those that are severe critics. Others are not sure how they feel about it at all. They have said that while the critics have been really rude and insensitive with their comments, they might actually have a point. The thing is that all the opinions on this fight might end up actually having really big impact on the rules of allowing transgender people in the league. And even in other fighting sports in the world, it's a pretty big deal. Let's look at some of the arguments that people have made for allowing Alana to keep fighting or not. Is a transgender woman too strong? One of the biggest arguments that people have made in the negative column is that they believe that Alana McLaughlin is just too strong to fight against other female fighters. Her argument is that she lived 33 years as a man and a soldier to boot, so at 38, she might still have the bone density of a man. The only problem with that argument is that McLaughlin had to do a bunch of tests before she was allowed to even enter the fight. And these tests included hormone tests, with the results of those tests showing that she was fit to fight another woman. So the tests were done, and some of the supporters have pointed out it was Celine Provost's choice whether she wanted to take the fight in the first place. She knew what she was getting into, and she made the choice to fight. Plus, the weight class plays an important role. Neither fighter would be much bigger than the other, so that's pretty even too, and McLaughlin is a pretty average-sized woman. Plus, Provost held her own and got in a bunch of shots before she was even taken down by McLaughlin. So the fight didn't really seem all that unevenly balanced in the first place, especially the first round. Alana McLaughlin reactions. The entire thing has been pretty crazy, and obviously many of the comments made their way back to McLaughlin, and she has been very vocal about how she feels about the whole situation. After posting a selfie with her own bruised face, she said that people aren't getting Provost the respect she deserves for fighting really hard. She went on to say that people are calling a cheater, but she was beaten pretty badly for at least a round and a half before being able to turn the fight around in the end. She made it clear that she wasn't going to allow the haters to influence her life or career decisions going forward. How is Celine Provost doing now? One person who has not weighed in on the entire controversy, Celine Provost. She has not reacted to any of the criticism at all. Like I said, she might have been fine with it in the beginning since she did agree to have the fight in the first place. She was okay with it then. That makes it difficult now. She can't really backtrack and speak out about the result. That would completely feel like she's being a sore loser, especially since she did have the upper hand during the parts of the fight. Let's face it, if Provost did win the fight, no one would be even batting an eyelid. Provost did recently let her fans know that she was doing well health-wise. She gave an update on her Instagram account saying she was completely fine. She just needed some time to heal up and recover, like most people who lose an MMA fight. We wish her a speedy recovery, and who knows, maybe there even will be a rematch in the future. Should the oblique kick get banned from MMA? The oblique kick has always been a pretty controversial move in MMA, mostly because it can go seriously wrong and injure fighters pretty badly. They can go for either the fighter who makes the move or for the one who is on the receiving end of the move. Now, with the fight against Khalil Roundtree against Modestas Bukauskas being decided through an oblique kick that Roundtree landed, it has been back in MMA news. It can seriously damage the knee of the opponent receiving the kick. It can be so bad that it can end a fighter's career. Mendesa spoke out about the move and said that he has no problem with the way things went down. That is the job of the opponent to try and block the kick. And he has also made it clear that he felt that he lost fair and square and people should cut his opponent some slack. Many fighters have given their opinions on the subject and most of them have made it very clear that they believe that the move should stay legal. Most of them think that the move has a place in MMA fighting, so it doesn't seem like the fighters would want it to go anywhere. And if they have any say, then they want to keep the move around for the foreseeable future. Jailton Almeida UFC debut. This fighter does not seem to believe in wasting time. He has only recently been signed by the Dana White Contender Series, and now his first fight with the UFC is already on the books. Multiple sources have confirmed that his UFC debut is set to happen on the 13th of November. His opponent will be fellow Brazilian Danilo Marques. Marques has already a lightweight title to his name. It's going to be a challenging fight, but don't think that the odds are against Jailton completely. Many people said that he has some incredible raw talent, and he has won a number of bouts. Some have even said Almeida is the Brazilian fighter to watch this year. That all adds up to making the upcoming fight between Almeida and Marques really anticipated. 4 fighters have been let go from the roster because they have had a few defeats in recent years and they feel like there are other fighters that deserve these spots more than they do. At least for the moment, things can always change and they can always be put back on again. The 4 fighters who have been let go are Roosevelt Roberts, Anderson Dos Santos, Draco Rodriguez, and Jamie Simmons. They lost their last 2 fights and the company has decided to drop them for now, even if they had a pretty great track record for them. Roberts has been with the UFC since 2018 and went on to get a string of wins, winning 4 of his 5 fights, but then he had 3 more bouts after that and he lost all of them. Dos Santos has also made a really good name for himself in Brazil as a veteran of the sport. He had a few bouts and wins with the UFC, but in a recent fight with Miles Johns, he lost and received a fractured leg during the match. The injury might take a while to heal, and that might be one of the biggest reasons that they've decided to drop him from their roster for now. He just doesn't have a lot of great prospects for the foreseeable future. It makes sense that they would rather drop him. They could always make him an offer again later on. For Rodriguez and Simmons, the relationship with UFC has not been fruitful. Neither has won a single match under the banner, so we'll watch these fighters to see how they do in the future. There have been a lot of things happening in MMA recently, and it's always interesting to see. Thanks for watching.